For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome, everybody, to another live and amplified livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have the Sound of Many. How's it going today, y'all?
It's going well.
Doing well.
Great.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited to have y'all on and talk about what you guys got going up in Kansas and the new single, all the cool shows you got going on. So for everybody that's just tuning in and finding out about you for the first time, let's kind of have you introduce yourselves each individually, who you are and what you do in the band.
All right. My name is Lucas Huguenin. I play rhythm guitar and I sing. I've been here in this band for about 6 or so years.
Awesome.
I am Jax Meyer. I am the drummer and I do some backup vocals. I think I've been playing about a year now, around a year, I think.
Yeah, I'm Caleb Price. I play keys and also been in the band for 6-ish years now.
And I'm Zachary Nickel. I play bass guitar, and I don't know, like a few months I've been in the band, 6 months.
Yeah, like half a year.
Yeah, something like that.
Gotcha. Awesome. So what's kind of the origin story of the Sounds of Many?
So I think I've said this maybe once in a different interview, but the Sounds of Many originally started off as kind of like an inside joke because I was writing a lot of music just for myself. And I had a lot of different guitar parts and a lot of different like keys and all of this. And I was like, it'd take a lot of people to play this live. So originally it was kind of tongue in cheek. And then somehow I managed to find other people that were willing to play it with me. So that kind of just became, the moniker.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And how did the current group come together as it currently sits?
That's
a very story. Well, I think Lucas originally asked me when he actually moved into a house I was living at with some friends, and we just started jamming together. It's like, yeah, we should just make a band out of this. And I was actually playing drums for him originally. Just an entirely different bass player.
Yeah.
And then we found someone that was good at drums, so I moved over to keys.
Yeah. And then I guess in the present format, I think, with COVID, we had originally anticipated back in March of 2020 to be like our last show. And then I just happened to meet my drummer, Jax, here, or my new drummer, Jax, here while we were out and about, and kind of just happenstantial. And I was like, you know what? I got the bug to play again, and, just started trying to find people again.
Gotcha. So at the verge of the pandemic, it was kind of one of those, well, we're going to kind of wrap it up. And then by pure chance, you started to pick it back up closer or as the pandemic went on. Is that kind of a fair assessment?
Yeah, well, because we got asked to do that split single with Tape Side.
Yeah, no.
And then I think that kind of got the creative juices flowing again. And that was performed by just Caleb and I. And then...
Well, I had met you guys from my girlfriend, and we were hanging out at like the bar that we all hang out at. And she had like casually mentioned that I played music too, and Lucas like really excited, was like, do you play drums? And I was like, yeah, I play drums, and it was kind of just like, you have to join this band. That you want to play in a band, and I hadn't played really live in like 4 or 5 years, and I was like, yeah, I'd be down to do that again. And yeah, that was kind of that. And then I don't. You found Zach on Craigslist. That was like a whole different thing.
Well, okay, so I'm going to.
No, yeah, explain it better.
So I am going to college in Manhattan, Kansas, at Kansas State University. So I moved here, didn't know a ton of musicians, that sort of thing. So yeah, I was looking around Craigslist and online, job posting, find people sort of sites, which
misconnections.
Yeah, definitely is as sketchy as it sounds, but I had a few fun connections, and this was one of them, and it's continuing to be a fun connection. So
I'm going to say this generation of musicians will never know the fun yet sketchiness that Craigslist is and was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
it feels like such a weird gamble to meet musicians. I met guys for a band one time, like 5 years ago on Craigslist, and the one guy, like, whose house we met at, was like bragging about how he had stolen all of his gear out there, and I was like, this is not the kind of person I should be meeting on Craigslist, and I definitely am not leaving any of my stuff here. So
yeah, absolutely. It's like you walk in and it's like, hey, that's mine. Like,
it's like, somebody stole my amp like 2 years ago. Hey, that amp looks familiar.
Yeah, for sure. It's there's definitely some sketchy people, but there's also some really cool people on Craigslist, or there was. Craigslist isn't really as cool as it once was back in the day.
Where do we fall under?
I mean, I found a cool person.
It took some work. It took some work and a lot of trial and error to find anyone worthwhile.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. At least you have a cool name, and you're not that Craigslist band. So, I've always thought that would be kind of funny to have a band named That Craigslist Band of all members found on Craigslist. Yeah.
Well, that is already go. We have since tour, we've had a long running list of just random band names from conversations. So that's obviously going to go on the list too. So awesome. So let's jump into the new single you dropped the music video for yesterday. Go ahead and kind of tell the story of Pipe Cleaner, correct? Yes.
Yeah. So I had done an interview at the local radio station, and through the people that run that, I met this guy named Blaine, and he primarily does like live band photos and live videography.
Mm-hmm.
But I contacted him and I was like, by any chance, like, have you ever done a music video? Would you be interested? And, we started hanging out a lot, and he wound up being really interested in doing this music video. And I don't know if it was because of like the concept I tossed at him, if that hooked him in or what it was, but it was a lot of fun working with Blaine.
That dude's a wild creative mind. He's very, very talented.
Yeah. So we started filming that music video, and we put it out, and it's had a lot of really good reception so far. I'm really happy about it. I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. And why for the music video, how much of it was your idea versus the videographer's idea?
Like,
it's like the video itself, like what it looks like and how, like the creative aspect of it.
Like, I think the like story, in like heavy quotation marks, the story of the music video was kind of like an idea that you and him came up with together.
Yeah.
And then in terms of aesthetic of it, like
we just piecemealed it together.
Yeah, it was the aesthetic was kind of limited by like time
Budget.
and budget.
Mhm.
But like again, Blaine is really good at what he does. So we just kind of trusted him to make it look how we wanted it to feel, which is kind of like a I don't know, like local access television show or like that kind of thing. Kind of like, I mean, obviously we have a lot of like psych influences, so it's got that to it too. And yeah,
if you had to assign numbers to it, I'd put it at like 40, 30, 30. So it's like 40% my original idea, 30% his idea, and then 30% like these shots were done out of necessity, and this is what we can do right now.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And so for Pipe Cleaner, just the song in general, is this like just the first song that you've released on Spotify, or do you kind of consider it your like debut single?
In a weird way, I do kind of consider it our debut single. Like we have had a lot of songs released on SoundCloud,
Mm-hmm.
but this felt like the most like polished work that we've put together. And I don't want to speak for everybody else, but that's just how I feel.
I mean, it's the first one with this lineup,
and it has a specific like sound to it that we didn't necessarily get prior to it.
Yeah, Spotify definitely seems more like a real platform too.
Yeah, it's like okay, if you have something on Spotify, like that's your legitimate release, like debut release.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, the reason I asked that question is because some musicians consider like releasing stuff on SoundCloud, that's all legit releases. Some musicians, unless it's being sold on iTunes or being streamed on Spotify, it's not a legit release, or having hard copies made available, I guess. So that's kind of why I asked the question. I wasn't, and so
I would say that any of the other things that I've released on SoundCloud to me feel like demos. They feel like things that I'd like to come back to. Whereas Pipe Cleaner, I'm happy with the product that I have, and I'm happy with where it's at.
Gotcha.
So in that aspect, I do think that it's like our first single.
Cool. And so what was it about Pipe Cleaner that made you feel like it was the most complete product, or that it was worthy of being officially released, for lack of better terms?
So that song I had written a couple years ago, kind of for a different project, and it just nothing really ever came of that. And I brought it to Lucas and was like, hey, this is a song that I have, an idea that I've had for a while. I think it's relatively simple as it is right now, but I think we can make it like interesting and cool. And so I showed it to him, and I think it just, for some reason, it just like clicked really well. And we were just able to like bring it all together. And I think in a sense, it was resembling the sound that we were trying to, as a band, get to, kind of where we are now. And I think that it was the first step towards that sort of sound, and it just fit really well for that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, for me, I think it was like the collaborative process. For a lot of the old songs, I've done, a lot of the legwork with like at least coming up with the core idea. So being able to come in on like a mostly complete song and just being able to like tweak it and work hand in hand with you, it was a really good experience.
And for me, like this song was written of like a 2-piece project. So like I have drum and guitar ideas, but like I don't really know writing bass parts that well, or like keyboards or anything like that. And I knew that like, okay, Caleb and Zach and Lucas, like these guys are really talented. I have an idea of what I can hear in my head of like, this could be really cool. And being able to just like share it with them and be like, okay, go on, play something cool, do something cool with it. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
here's what I'm thinking, interpret it in your own ways with your own bass playing abilities and whatnot. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
that makes sense. That makes 100% sense. So what's kind of the plan moving forward? Is Pipe Cleaner leading to an album or just kind of more singles moving forward? What's kind of the thought there?
Well, right now, we're leading into our upcoming single, Do As You Please.
Mhm.
I would imagine probably by the end of 2022, we'll have a full length album that's polished. But I think the goal is probably to release another 2 or 3 singles this year. I hate to jump on that bandwagon, but like it feels a lot more productive to be releasing singles than working on an album at times.
Well, when you're like a band who's not with a label or anything, like your way to make money is to play shows.
Mhm.
And so like when you're taking your weekends to play shows to make that money, that's good. But it also is like, all right, well, we don't have that time to just like sit and record an entire album, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that is kind of why that works that way.
Yeah. When it's that weird catch-22 where it's like you're still a young band, and especially with this new lineup, you're really starting to find your groove. And yes, you're right. The play right now is to be doing live shows, especially since the pandemic is not as big of an issue as it was 6 months ago. Venues are opening up, people are allowing you to play, so that's kind of where you need to be. But for you to make the real money, you need to have the music on Spotify so they can be like, whoever's at your show or, whatever, be like, hey, I heard this kick-ass band. Here, go check them out. Here's their links or whatever. And so you're in that like weird catch-22. If you can't record music because you're playing too much, it's not going to help you. But you also need like a full-length body of work so you could like sell albums and make more money, So for me, it's like right now singles work, but if going on long stretches of shows, like depending on how often you all want to start or want to be playing live shows, whether it's once a week or 4 times a week or once a month, eventually you'll have to get that like full body of work together. So
we've kind of been the past 2 months, we've played, we had 10 days with 7 shows, and then the weekends surrounding that, we had a show, at least one show every week. So
we've probably been doing about 4 to 5 shows a month, really.
Nice.
And
that's just kind of warming up for the summer.
I think we've got like a month or so break here until summer where we can kind of buckle in and try and get some more stuff recorded so that by the time we're out for the summer and playing more shows again,
because we've got
more to present to people.
We've got a 10-day tour in the summer with 10 shows in 10 days.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be a lot of fun.
Nice. Where are you guys touring to, or have you not announced the shows yet?
We have the venues. We're still trying to like get a hold of some of the local scene members just to see like good bands to perform with. But we're going to do the same tour circuit that we did for our spring tour. So we'll be pretty much hitting from Kansas up to Chicago and hitting all the major cities in between and then coming back. Gotcha.
Trying to think who I know in Chicago, because that's where I'm from originally.
Oh, nice.
As far like a lot of the bands that I know in Chicago are more punk rock and like heavier stuff. So I don't know what kind of openers you'd be looking for, or local acts you'd be looking for.
This last tour, I think we played with like a metal band just about every night.
We did, yeah. Yeah, we did. And even in Chicago, like that was at Liars Club.
Liars Club was a lot of fun.
But we did play with like a metal-ish band there too. Hardcore, yeah.
Gotcha. That's cool. Yeah, it's sometimes you just got to play with the bands that are going to help you draw a crowd and benefit both sides.
Yep.
Gig for gig, tell like one of them I'm working with right now, like they're coming through Kansas in April. So they help me get a show. I help them get a show. It's how the community develops.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. As far as the show tonight, because I know y'all got a show tonight. What's is that for like the debut or for the music video release, or is this just all kind of coincidentally?
We're obviously still promoting that music video a lot, but we're trying to hype up the upcoming single "Do As You Please." So we got merch printed out for it and all that good stuff.
Gotcha. For this new single, when's that release? Have you announced a date for that yet?
We have not announced a date yet for that. I think our goal is probably in the next 2 weeks.
Okay. And why did you choose this song as your next single release?
It sound cool.
Yeah. It felt like the next step of the sound we're trying to go for.
Yeah, Lucas had like a cool guitar riff idea, and Jackson and I were like, throw some extra like fuzz on that, throw some effects. And
Nice.
he hit his big muff and was like, yes, this song is perfect.
Yeah.
It's also like the first song I felt like we've all kind of built from the ground up.
Yeah.
Like Pipe Cleaner Jacks came in with this song, which obviously wasn't completed, but we added to it. But this, we kind of really heard it from the...
this one was really like, there wasn't a song there.
Yeah,
like,
it started...
It was a riff.
Chords.
Some chords, and that was it. So I think that doing it like that, and then like we've had the song, we've been sitting on it, and like been playing it live, and
It's
that
got good reception.
it has got good reception, and also that's just kind of been like our like playground to like get it to where it's like, okay, now this is recording ready, like now all these parts are really clean. So like any of the audiences who have heard it have gotten the like, they're like the test audience of like, receive this song, give us feedback.
This is my sample group.
Yeah.
How long have you all been playing this show or playing this song at shows?
Since tour.
Yeah, about a month. Yeah.
Okay.
So probably like the last 10 shows.
Gotcha. So it's gotten a good road test before releasing it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And what's the usual like feedback? Like, since you said you kind of asked for feedback off the song.
I think in regards to like asking for feedback, I think that's maybe a little too literal. I'm more gauge it off of like, whether or not the audience is having fun. So there's like a part that it goes from a really clean guitar to a very, very like fuzzed out heavy guitar, and watching people go from like, this is quaint to yes, like heads rocking back and forth, And
even just hearing after people coming up and saying, that song was so cool, that part like the switch.
Gotcha. That's cool. And so is it fair to assume that this song is one of, as far as like songs written, this is one of the newer songs in your arsenal?
Yes,
I would
say
yeah.
Gotcha. And how long ago did you start writing it? Within the last month or so, or how long from like
2 months?
Probably a month before we started playing it live.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So probably about 2 months.
Gotcha. So that's really cool. So tonight's show is to start hyping up for that song and that release.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Are you doing a music video for it as well, or will you take a different approach?
We're currently in negotiations with it.
Negotiation.
Are you holding it for ransom, or is it holding the
Well,
music
no,
video?
no. Or let me put it a different way, I guess. We're shopping around for
Gotcha.
videographers for it. Obviously, I'd like to work with Blaine again,
Mhm.
but there's a slight part of me that, like, you know, I think he's a genuinely good guy, and I
Mhm.
don't want it to seem like the only time I come and talk with him is to try to figure out music video things.
Yeah.
I'd like to develop an actual friendship with him, but I think I was talking to him over Instagram the other evening, and it seemed like he was interested in shooting a music video in May. So we might release the single and then wait a little while and then drop a music video for it at a later date.
Gotcha. That makes sense. You know, and sometimes that's especially if it's a newer song that hasn't, like, I mean, yeah, it's been played at shows a handful of times, but for a newer song, sometimes it's better to get some legs under it and then release the music video for it. So that makes sense. So
Yeah, like if people are already excited for the song and they're like, oh, I like this song a lot, and then you know, a month later it's like, well, here's a video for it too.
Yeah.
I know, at least with bands that I like, when they do that, it's always really exciting for me, because I'm like, oh, sick, here's a great song that I love. Now I can kind of get like a visual concept of how they, exactly, a new way to experience it.
and it almost breathes new life into the song.
It does.
So
Yeah, it really does.
which is really cool. So you're one of the first bands that we've had on from Kansas. I think we may have had one other musician that was from Kansas on. What's the independent music scene like there in Kansas?
It is a mixed bag. Like city to city, there's such wild variation.
And it fluctuates very quickly.
Yeah.
So I know here in Manhattan, like, we had a couple bands that were doing pretty well and, you know, helping a lot with the local music scene. But I think two of them just broke up within like last month.
Yeah.
So
That's it's not one of those scenes where there's like 7 different bands and each band is a different lineup of another band.
Oh no,
different variations.
Sometimes
There is some of that going on, definitely.
Probably more so with the like older bands that have been around for a while. But also, like, it's kind of felt like in the past 5 years or so, like, as far as like live places to play, like legitimate venues have been kind of dropping. There's a very strong like country music presence in town, and that has to kind of do with the university and the demographic of that. But also like just within the past like 6 months, there's been a new place that's opened up. Well, the place itself has been there. It's just an arcade. Like, some guy started an arcade here in town with a bunch of old machines you can come and play. And then one day they decided to start playing shows there. And within a couple months, like, it's at capacity, like, all the time. Like, it's a really cool place for shows. And it's kind of like breathed a little bit of new life back into like bands in Manhattan are now like, oh, wow, we can play in Manhattan again.
Yeah.
And like, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just really convincing places that could be venues to like give it a shot and have a few bands. I didn't like the arcade. They did it a couple times. Now they're full, and it just seems like there's going to be more of that.
Yeah, they're making way more money off live music now than they do.
Absolutely.
Arcade.
I remember Scott. I remember the guy saying after we played one set, like, we finished the show and he's like, hell yeah, you guys are going to buy me a new Pac-Man machine. And it was like, okay, yeah, so you're probably making more money from this than just like a regular night. People just coming in and playing arcade games.
Well, I remember in October going there, and Scott was worried that he was going to have to close it down because he had it open for like almost 2 years.
And COVID hit pretty hard.
Yeah. But I think the the playing shows there has really like
Helped.
livened it up. And just in general, like the places that were
The one prior to that was there is a hotel in town, and they were convinced to start having bands every so often. They saw some success off of that, and they hosted like a small music festival in Manhattan because of success shows.
yeah, and that festival too, and like a couple of other
We're
things
doing
is
that
like
this year.
yeah, but even like the Hat, like that was a place that has almost always exclusively been country music.
Yeah.
But just since like they did that Attack the Hat show with a lot of like, you know, alternative bands,
Mhm.
you know, not country bands, like they
Yeah.
realized, oh, maybe there is a scene for this, and now they're
It's
like
definitely
the
an
main
audience.
stage for Midfest.
It's just finding the venues to get the audience to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I swear I've seen the flyer for that Attack the Hat show, but I can't remember who shared it or where I saw it from. But
It was
Well, I think I shared it on the band page just to get word out about it.
yeah,
Gotcha.
like, there was a lot of people there. That was a cool thing, and we met some.
Well, that's where I met Blaine.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like Jackson from the radio station was like, yo, I heard you're going to this. I told Blaine to come down so that way you guys can talk. And then we sat there in the back of the venue yelling at each other because we couldn't hear each other over the bass.
Yeah.
And
I think it's exciting because like I think as a Kansas band, it's for the better part of the last 20 years, it's been if you want to play shows, you go to Lawrence or you go to Kansas City.
yeah,
That's kind of been it. But I think things have been expanding more here, and obviously like Wichita, some places are coming back around. So I would like to be hopeful always, and say that like things are looking up. Local music is on the rise.
yeah, for sure. You know, you always want to be hopeful for your local scene,
Absolutely.
especially when it's, I guess the best way to phrase it is rebuilding or retooling, or
Yeah.
which is always really cool and exciting. You just need the core of people that are going to stick through it and not, oh, hey, we got a little clout, let's go move to, you know, the big city or what, you know, like whatever that would mean. So
Yeah. Well, I think that part of it too is like as COVID has lessened its like intensity and restrictions have loosened, there's a lot of people who maybe a couple of years ago wouldn't ever think of going out to shows that are like, man, I'll go out and see anything right now. I just want to get out of the house and go to a show. And I think that has like kind of sparked a little more excitement too. So
yeah.
for sure. And then, so for the show tonight, who's all on that bill?
So we'll be playing with a new punk rock band called Not Cops. And then we'll be playing with like a shoegazy, like almost like My Bloody Valentine style band called Ferris Wheel Regulars. And then we'll be playing, and then I'll be playing with a good friend of mine, one of my lifelong friends, his new band, Ghost Town Strays, and they're like a garagey like surf band, so like complete instrumental but really dirty surf.
Nice. I've heard some similar kind of bands like the dirty surf rock type stuff, and that's really good. If it's, you know, it's really good. So
yeah. I think I was just saying this last night, is like probably of all the shows that we played this year, this one is like the entire lineup feels like the best fit for us to be playing on this bill. Like every band feels like, okay, these bands all mesh well together. They should be playing together. So,
and in a weird way, I guess I almost feel like we kind of are in this like a synthesis of those three, like,
yeah, we do kind of have some of all of those elements.
Yeah, which I'm sure they have elements of all of what we're doing. At this point, the melting pot of rock and roll is all inclusive.
It's melting.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, I don't want to keep you all too much longer because I know you guys got a nice little journey ahead of you to get to the show, and obviously with setup and all that stuff, that's a whole barrel of fun that I can only imagine. So for anybody that wants to check out any of your music, the new single, the music video, interact with you on social, or get a schedule for any of your upcoming shows, where's the best place to find all that information?
Honestly, the best place to find all of that information is our website, which is just https:// just www.thesoundsofmany.com. No, just
the sounds of many.com.
Shut up. I have fun saying that, and you're just gonna shit on me for it.
We have pretty much every possible form of social media.
Mhm.
So that's kind of the hub to find all of it.
Gotcha.
If you want to contact us, probably Facebook is the best way, or email us from the website. But we try and regularly post on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The TikTok is a real fun place. You're probably not going to get much like legitimate info from it, but it's pretty fun. So
That's
you will
fair.
get information about the Pacer test.
That's fair. Are you guys looking at trying to do something on Twitch? Because I noticed on your website you have a Twitch link as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're still trying to figure out the technical side of streaming live music and video at the same time, which is not the easiest thing. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
if you want if you want good quality like audio, as
Mhm.
well as stream from like multiple inputs, as well as streaming video, like it gets a little difficult.
I found out that my interface only has 2 monitored inputs, which has become a problem.
Yeah.
So
We're currently fighting that battle right now as we kind of modify this podcast and try to incorporate live music performances.
nice.
And it's not like if I did it right here through Zoom, it wouldn't be the worst case scenario. But right now, the only interface I can get to connect to anything is my little 6-channel Zoom H6. And if we start bringing in like bands or even just like a duo, I'm going to need more than 6 channels to make it.
That's
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
and then it takes a lot of mics. Who would have
Yeah.
guessed?
Yeah. I mean, I have the mics like that. That's not the hard part. It's
It
just,
takes a lot of inputs.
yeah. So yeah, that's been a battle. And then, yeah. So I feel that pain. That's why I stick with the podcast right now, like the podcast the way it is. And we just kind of grow through it. So
I think the goal is at some point do like just listen into a live practice, or like just do some live sessions on Twitch.
Maybe like try out some live requests or
Things like that. Hopefully at some point we can come around back to that and figure it out. But
Well, I think the best way of doing that was getting like a mixing board and then sending the outs of the mixing into the monitored channels. But that's all technical BS.
that's unlimited money problems that
Fair.
that we do have.
That we do have.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, once again, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. Hopefully I get a chance to come up to Kansas. That's kind of a very roundabout way
Wait,
for
where are
me to.
you at?
I'm in Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're I think I have some plans of taking us down that way in the winter. So
Awesome.
you
Awesome.
might see us
A Texas circuit would be pretty
Texas circuit.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys ever find your way out to New Mexico, let me know. I can get you in contact with a few cool bands out there.
I'd love to play.
That'd be
Mexico.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you know the Albuquerque based band Crushed?
I do not know.
Oh, they're really cool. He's a good friend of mine, but I might anyways,
Yeah, I got you. I'll have to ask my buddy. He lives in Roswell, New Mexico. If he knows him, he knows a lot more of the Albuquerque scene than I do.
I want to know more people in Roswell. That sounds rad as shit.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Well, guess what? You know at least one person. I lived there for 4 years.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was an interesting time in my life. I would love to go back, but for what I do, it's not conducive
Yeah.
at the
That's
moment. So, like, I mean, they got a nice little scene out there. Don't get me wrong, but it's that thing of, like I was talking about earlier, where it's every new band is just some amalgamation of 4 other bands that are no longer there. So,
Well,
So-
and regardless of how good it is, it probably feels relatively isolated and removed.
yeah, it takes 3 hours to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's removed from a lot. So, but it's a cool place. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely a cool place to go check out. And if you can get a show there, there's a couple of cool venues there as well.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
But once again, thank you all so much for hanging out. It's been a blast. You're welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to come back on, let me know. And yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will catch you all later.
Thank you, Tom. I hope you have a good rest of your day, man.
Yep, you too. All right, cool. We're clear.